Hi, welcome back to your favorite waste of time. I'm your host Nikolai, and this is Art Rambles with Kai, episode 3. Yeah, this series isn't dead yet. Shocker. I know. We're reviving it today with a pretty problematic topic. And by problematic, I mean you're gonna hear the coldest takes in history ever. I think. Maybe. I don't know. We're talking about controversial things I love to see in art today. Big maybe uncontroversial. I really don't know. Am I clickbaiting? Are we in a state of Schrodinger's clickbait right now? I have no idea. Let's just start the damn video already before I scrap this idea. Okay, so I'm gonna list down controversial things I like in no particular order. We're just gonna rapid fire and see where it goes. It's probably going to be a dumpster fire seeing how awful this intro is, so let's get into it. The first thing that popped into my head was Stylized Top Scars. As you can tell from my very stereotypical name, you know, Kai, Nick, I am transmasculine and I feel an extreme sense of euphoria whenever I see top scars in people's art. It just makes me feel represented. It makes me feel seen and gives me very positive gender envy. You know what I mean? And this gender envy doesn't exclusively apply to medically accurate scars. I love seeing those, don't get me wrong. I love seeing characters with double incisions, inverted T's, fish mouths, and all those jazzy things, but I also love seeing mastectomy scars that are physically impossible and look like tattoos instead. And you might be wondering,
aren't those types of top scars offensive? They're not accurate. Why do you enjoy seeing them in art so much?
And to that I answer, it's just harmless fun. I personally don't think it's damaging anyone to depict a trans character with stylized top scars. It's a silly but gorgeous way to add personality to a design, and you can't convince me that it's bad, especially when most people I see doing this are trans themselves. And even if they aren't, they got my go signals, so why should I care? I do it myself and I love it. Like, look at my OCs ethereal scars and tell me I'm being transphobic to myself. I dare you. But yeah, any type of top scars in art, moi, adore it. Instant like and reblog from me. And speaking of harmless fun, I love seeing characters that have been headcanoned to death. Some of you might not know this, but there's a phenomenon in the art community where some artists like a character so much that they rehaul their design completely with their personal headcanons. I usually see this being done in the Genshin Impact fandom due to the, lack of diversity in their characters, and I see it being crapped on a lot, but I think it's really fun. I love seeing different depictions of a character. It gives me insight on what different artists like about the character. It shows me their personal tastes and designs and how passionate they are with the media they create fan work for, and I just think it's lovely. And to be completely honest, I've done this many times before as well. In fact, most of my OCs are just already existing characters that have been murdered by my autism. I've gotten hate for doing this before, but like, I don't get it. I don't understand the hate. Again, just like Stylized Top Scars, this is just harmless fun. I promise no one will get hurt if someone draws a Genshin Impact character with curly hair. No one's gonna get tortured if an artist decides to draw a character fatter or give them freckles or, dare I say, depict them as a person of color. Now, this is definitely the most controversial take in this video, and let me just say flat out, yes, I'm one of those people who don't think blackwashing is real. Or, at least it isn't normally a negative thing done out of malice. Most cases of blackwashing online are done out of extreme love for a character. It's usually not done out of hatred for white people or other races, like some of you might think. Most black artists who create race swap art do it because they want to see what their favorite characters would look like if they shared their ethnicity, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Of course, this is a case-by-case basis. You can easily cherry-pick situations where someone race swaps a character and it's really bad, but like in general, those silly anime edits people make on Twitter aren't awful. Like, for example, the recent Miku trend in the art community was so goddamn cool. I've seen so many good drawings during Blacktober too, and it's just wonderful seeing artists share their culture and heritage through their work. I just I really don't understand the outrage with making a character a person of color. Like, there's history of minorities being erased in media and in real life, but I swear people who hate blackwashing do not care about that at all, and that says a lot. Like, if you don't have the same anger towards whitewashing like you do with blackwashing, you might be racist. I don't know. Just a thing to consider. Cause you can cherry pick situations of blackwashing being negative, but I can show you museums full of people whitewashing to be racist. So, if you disagree with me, sure, but don't expect me to entertain you in the comments, cause I won't. And if you hate both, that's okay, I guess. I understand to an extent, so agree to disagree. I personally think there's a lot of nuance to this topic, so to be neutral on the matter is a little icky, but I won't call you racist over it. Just know that whitewashing has history. People have been erasing minorities ever since. You can't say the same about blackwashing or anything similar to that, but overall, just don't harass artists for silly race swap art. I'm looking at you, Dun fans. Some of you are straight up disgusting, and I'm not afraid to say it. In conclusion, I think depicting characters as people of color is based. That is Sigma behavior. Please keep doing it. I love seeing how passionate artists are with characters and their culture. It's fun, and I need more of it on my social media timelines. Especially characters that are headcanoned as Filipinos. Nababaliw ako kapag nakikita ko yun, so please do it more. Thank you. Anyway, back to more controversial things. I think it's cool to depict scars in art. Before you hurl insults at me or get upset, let me explain myself. I don't think scars are cool by themselves. I have a few of my own. It's not something I'm proud of, and I'm generally ashamed of them, but I don't think it's insensitive to depict characters with the same scars as me, or even worse. In fact, I find comfort in characters who have scars. I think it's nice to represent people who struggle with that sort of thing, and I think it's extremely offensive to say these depictions are always bad. Like, out of everything I've listed so far, this is one of the things that confuses me the most. The fact people dislike seeing scars in art. It's so odd to me, especially when the reason is,
oh, it's romanticization, or oh, you're normalizing
self, and it's like, no, you do realize real people have these kinds of scars and it's not a form of glorification for them to show it, or for them to be represented in art? Like, I think it's more disgusting to say it's inherently fetishistic to depict self through fictional characters. You're damaging so many people with that mentality, and it's not okay. With that line of thinking, we should just stop representing scars completely. Like,
if you have a war veteran character with severe injuries that aren't hidden, you are romanticizing their time in the trenches, and you need to knock it off. You're disgusting for drawing stuff like that. You're awful.
Like, doesn't that sound ridiculous? Because that's how some of you sound to me. Of course, I understand when people find scars to be triggering to see, especially when they're fresh and it's meant to be disturbing art. I get it. That should have the appropriate warnings, and you're allowed to dislike seeing such content. But to say all forms of self-depiction is bad is just wrong. You're just stigmatizing mental health struggles by doing this. Again, people with scars exist. It's not disgusting to represent as existing. Stop harassing artists for depicting characters with this very real thing. It's only fetish art if they're actively glorifying the scars and the act of self itself. But if they're just drawing a character who is attractive and who happens to have these scars, that's not fetishistic. Stop throwing words like that around. Please. They have meaning. Use them wisely. But yeah, I like characters with scars. It makes me feel seen. It makes me feel less ashamed of myself. And I don't know. It just makes me happy. If you have a character like this, you're really cool and you're not bad for having them. I hope you know that. But moving on. I love seeing gender-nonconforming trans characters. To anyone who watched episode 6 of my Design With Me series, you knew this mini rant was coming. Wink wink, nudge nudge. Anyway, it's a delight to see trans folks like me being drawn in the art community, but I will admit, I have a bias towards gender nonconforming representation. Why? Because I'm gender nonconforming myself. Like, I have a very complicated relationship with my gender, and my outward expression fluctuates like crazy. I can dress masculine some days and then be hyper feminine the next. I'm also not medically transitioning, at least for now. Horrifying, I know. And seeing trans characters that are like me makes me feel extremely happy. Like, I adore trans characters that go against the gender binary. I love trans masculine characters that that are feminine. I love trans feminine characters that are masculine. I love non-binary characters that aren't androgynous, and I just love trans characters in general. For a long time, I've been very ashamed of myself for liking femininity as a trans guy. I would force myself to be super masculine and macho, even if it made me extremely uncomfortable, and ever since I made Ray, a trans FDM OC of mine that's super feminine, I've been extremely confident about myself, and my dysphoria has been getting better and better ever since. In fact, I can wear skirts and dresses now without any bad thoughts getting in the way, and that's a miracle. So whenever I see GNC trans characters being drawn, I just feel so euphoric. I feel validated, you know? But alas, not everyone has the privilege to feel the same way, especially trans medicalists who think there's only one way to transition, and if you do anything else, you're wrong and you're a faker. I'm not even going to entertain that mentality. I'm just here to say GNC representation is so beautiful. It breaks my heart to see fellow trans artists get shat on for drawing such characters. Like, I understand being wary of caricatures and transphobia, but some of you need to realize you're harming actual trans people by putting us into a box. Like, you claim to be fighting against stereotypes, but you're literally hurting people by insinuating their gender expression, if not traditional, is wrong. That they're not actually a man if they're feminine, or they're not a woman if they're masculine in your eyes. Like, we're literally circling back to transphobic and misogynistic rhetoric with this crap. You're not helping anyone by getting upset at cute trans femme OCs that happen to be buff, or handsome trans mask OCs that happen to be wearing a dress. I'll say it outright. You're hurting people because you feel uncomfortable and think that's everyone else's priority to fix. AKA, you're being a privileged twat. I understand if you feel dysphoric seeing art of pre-operative trans characters or JNC OCs in general, but don't come whining to trans artists about it, yelling they're bigoted against themselves since you look ridiculous. I'm sorry. And I can go on and on about this topic, but I won't since I've already said a lot. Just know you can easily block artists if their content makes you upset. Like, my dysphoria has been triggered by artists before, and you know what I did? I didn't call them transphobic. I just blocked and moved on. But anyway, I love trans representation of all kinds. Please go fucking wild with trans representation. Don't let silly expectations and stereotypes get in the way of you or your character's gender expression. We all come in different shapes and sizes. As Ryan Hacker from Poor Man's Poison once sang, we're not the same. For that we should embrace, but this is the tool they use to separate. And no, I'm not singing that. Cope with the cringe delivery. So, what did we learn today, kids? Did we even learn anything, or did I just yell nonsense for 20 odd minutes? I have no idea. Anyway, have fun with your art. Don't let miserable people on the internet harass you over it. That's the moral of the video, and I'm being serious. This isn't a haha silly moment. Go ahead and do your fun Raceswap anime edits. Go start on that new OC that's a feminine NB, and while you're at it, headcanon the shit out of that white twink from your favorite gacha game. In general, just do whatever you want. Be cringe, be free. It'll make your life better, I promise. Anyway, I hope this was a fun watch, and I hope you all have a good week. I'll see you whenever I reemerge from my coffin. For now, goodbye!